Hello, my name is Gabriel Meissner, and you are watching RPTV News. At RPTV, we are constantly working on bringing our audience news reports that help to keep the community informed. Interviewing community leaders, politicians, and other key figures, RPTV tracks emerging trends and developments, ensuring comprehensive coverage and insightful analysis for its audience. Ward 13 Councillor Moise is a local politician that RPTV has interviewed numerous times before his election city councillor and once since he was elected in October 2024. On April 15, 2024, RPTV visited Councillor Moise at his constituency office at 329 Parliament Street in the heart of Regent Park and asked him to respond to a series of questions on current issues such as the Allan Gardens encampments, recent developments in the Regent Park Revitalization Phases 4 and 5, rent gear to income housing, and affordable housing, the renaming of Dundas Square, and finally, on the recent developments with the Regent Park Social Development Plan and the City of Toronto. Let's join Councillor Moise as he speaks to our reporters.
So I've been a counselor now for almost a year and a half. And I have to say that Allan Gardens encampment has been one of my greatest challenges. When I first took office a year and a half ago, we had about 89 encampments in Allan Gardens. And I've always wanted to, I don't believe that encampments are safe spaces for those who live in encampments and those who live around the encampments. And so for me, permanent housing has always been the solution. And that's what I've wanted to accomplish there. So we've used the Allan Groves model in Allan Gardens from day one, in that we believe that housing people is the best solution.
How do you feel about the city trying to remove the encampment from Allan Gardens?
Well, I think homelessness is a real problem at the moment. The rents are up almost doubled since the pandemic started. So in 2 years, if we're expecting 50% of the rent to go up, I would think as a person who works, it's still it's difficult for me. So I wouldn't know how it would affect these people that are living below minimum wage and below minimum living wage as well. And we've seen this go up, the number of people that are here double in the last month or so, and I think that's unfair to us as people who live in the city and work hard, pay taxes, and we're still not seeing any real help. So we would like to see some rent control and some sort of regulation in how homelessness works. I think that would be helpful. The least we should all deserve is a home, a safe place to go, food, water, and if we're fighting for the basics, how are we going to grow as a city?
So during my time as a counselor, I was able to bring the city departments together. I created an Allan Gardens task force, and we were able to bring a trailer into the park so that city staff housing staff can actually house the people in Allan Gardens. The housing staff were there Monday to Friday. And also we also had 24-hour security in the park so that we had no new encampments come into the park. So working with the mayor's office and city departments, we were able to secure permanent housing, and we've also secure some short-term housing as well. And through that process, over the last year and a half, we're able to actually house up to about, I'm going to say, 80 of those people. Plus, I think as of today, we have about 3 or 4 people left in the park we're trying to find permanent housing for. So it's taken longer than expected, but we've had a lot of great success in housing people in the park. And so the next step to all of that is that once the park is no longer having encampments, We want to program the park by bringing the public into the park, having different activities in the park, uh, perhaps revitalizing the park to a degree, so that we will not have the same sort of experience that we've had in the last almost 2 years, I'm going to say. So that has been the long-term goal. And I know that because of the best practices of Allan Gardens, other encampments across the city, other councillors and other city departments are looking at the successes we've had at Allan Gardens to replicate that success. So I am satisfied with the work we've done. I know that feedback from the community has also been positive in that they too are satisfied with the steps we have taken to house people in the park. In regards to the commencement of phases 4, I know that demolition is going to be starting April or July, between around April and July of this year, in building 4A. So I feel that Tridel and TCAC are on a good path going forward. As you know, I came into this role very recently, as I've mentioned, and phases 4 and 5, Tridel will be working with TCHC. One of the things that I have done since I've been here was actually return to City Council and rezoned the space so that we could actually have more affordable housing in phases 4 and 5. And we were able to secure an initial 600 plus affordable housing units, I should say. But one of the misconceptions out there is that we're actually losing RGI units, and that is not the case. The same amount of RGIs that we've had in Regent Park will remain the same in phases 1 through 5. There'll be no reduction in RGIs. But I also want to state too, the reason why we haven't been able to increase the RGI units, as some residents have requested, is that RGI is funded generally by the province and the federal government. And it costs, if the city were to take this on, it would cost the city an additional $8,000 per year per unit on average. And that's a cost the city cannot take on right now. I also want to emphasize that no one in phases 4 and 5 will be displaced, because all the people that will be moved in phases 4 and 5 will move into the last building, which Tridel is actually building in the corner of Parliament and Dundas, or Parliament and Gerrard, actually. So we're very mindful of that, and we've been working very closely with TCAC and Tridel to make sure that there's a smooth transition. But we are excited for the change. One of the things that we have been insistent on is that there will be retail along Gerrard, small retail. There will be pop-ups as well in the space. There will be community spaces in phases 4 and 5, up to 15,000 square foot of community space. So it is an exciting time. We have done this with community input. We've had very many public consultations on phases 4 and 5 throughout. So, and we've tweaked it and made changes throughout the process. So I think we're in a good place right now in regards to phases 4 and 5. And we have a lot to be proud of in that regard. So phases 4 and 5 will have both TCHC units and market rent in there as well as there will be some condos as well, because there is the market aspect of it that's going to be partially paid for the TCAC portion of it. So it will be a mixed. It will be units and buildings of TCHC and condos. Again, you will not see a differentiation between the building types. to the average person, the buildings look very much the same. And that's the important piece for us. Again, housing is a complex issue. You know, the city wants more RGIs. We've advocated for more RGIs, but we've had financial pressures across the city, as you know. 2023-24 budget was very, very difficult for us to balance. And we are in a housing crisis, yes. And we have advocated to the province and to the federal government for more RGI funding. Again, generally speaking, RGI is a provincial and federal responsibility. And this is why the city has been reluctant to actually fund RGIs, because it's such a burden to the city's bottom line at the end of the day. As I've mentioned, it costs about an average of $8,000 per year per unit. And just imagine 8,000 times 100,000. I mean, that's hundreds of millions of dollars the city cannot incur on its own. So, yes, this is a very expensive city to live in. We understand the challenges that people are facing and the hardship people are facing, but we cannot do this alone. We need support from other levels of government. And we've said that time and time again. What we have been able to do, particularly especially in Regent Park, is create more affordable housing stock. As I've mentioned, we've been able to create an additional 600 more units than we've allocated to phases 4 and 5, while I've been here for the last year and a half. But again, we will continue to advocate for more RGIs, through various channels. I support the community's initiative for more RGIs, because I want more RGIs too. I know they're important aspect to housing here in Regent Park. But again, I don't think it's fair that it's the City of Toronto that covers the entire cost of RGI units. When you look at the cost of creating space, creating units, the costs have gone up. And so we currently, as a city, we're trying to say, well, there's rental replacement, right? Those, for example, if you're building up, it's just outside of Regent Park, but if, for example, demoviction, for example, if you actually tear down a building, then you can bring an individual back into a unit at the cost that they were paying. And additionally, we have calculated that they pay the rent gap as well, right? The developer pays rent gap. So the amount that you pay once you out of the unit, and also too, we've also stated that they should pay the cost of moving out and moving back in. So that's where the conversation is around demevictions, which is different from rent geared to income. But again, in Regent Park is unique because the land itself is owned by the city, aka TCHC, and working with a private company, formerly Daniels and now Tridel, we can actually set the rules as to what we want and don't want. And this is why we're able to create more TCHC units, right? And also work with the developer to create more market units, right? And because we are creating more density in phases 4 and 5, that's why we're able to create more affordable units in phases 4 and 5. So there's a direct correlation when it comes to that. So as we know, Dundas himself was the Minister of Immigration and Slavery many, many years ago. And so, even though he never came to Canada, he did have his proxies here in this country that caused great harm to the Black population. We also know that Dundas himself have gone to the Caribbean and elsewhere and has caused great harms in those communities as well. The transatlantic slave trade and slavery, there's still remnants of inequalities here, right? That's impacted the Black community. There's been intergenerational trauma as a result of that. And for the Black community, having the name Dundas spread across the city and the country as a whole, is a great insult to the Black community. And this is why the advisory committee, the renaming advisory committee, chose Sankofa to rename the street Dundas. Because of the cost of the renaming and our financial situation right now at the city, the mayor and myself and city council has agreed to change the names of 4 city assets, Young Dundas Square being one of those assets. And so I feel it is a reasonable request, a tribute, I'm going to say, to the Black community. Sankofa, as we know, means, going back in a good way, while going back and reclaiming what is your own, pre-slavery, and moving forward in a good way together. And so I think it's fitting. As we know, their TMU is very close to Sankofa Square, and we have 40,000 students going through that area every day to go to school. And I feel that because these are young minds, young leaders of tomorrow, going through that square is symbolic to me going forward, in that they will change this country and this city in a good way. And Sankofa Square is a good reminder of that. I know there's been a lot of people saying that, we are not doing the right thing, but I have to ask myself often, who are the people who are saying that the change is not needed and that we're erasing the history of this country? Well, I'm saying to you that we have to recognize Toronto is the most multicultural city in the world. We have to be respectful of each other and recognize the harms that have been caused by some of the histories that this country has. We're changing. We've recognized the harms done to Indigenous people. And I think, looking at the harm done to Black people is also part of that change and that correction. So I think, again, this is a good, positive thing for our community going forward. Well, the social development plan, as you know, has been
Welcome to Sunday.
It's a 5-year plan of $2.5 million over the last 5 years. And so I know that it has caused some public good, but the initial plan was for it to be in existence for 5 years, right, at a cost of $2.5 million. Some of the issues that community have said to myself and to TCHC and city leadership is that sometimes we don't know if the money was well spent, the accountability of those funds, the measures, metrics. Was it used in the way that it was meant to be used? Those are all the things that we've been asking and trying to figure out. We've been very fortunate in Regent Park in that we've had various organizations helping to alleviate some of the issues and problems we've had in this area. I know I've been working with the local schools, Dixon Hall, Mothers of Peace, and many other organizations. My constituent office actually is located in Regent Park, and my staff is on the ground every day working in Regent Park. So it's not just a one-size-fit-all. It really has taken a village. It has taken many organizations and groups to actually help alleviate some of the issues we've had here in Regent Park. So stating that it's only the SDP that has helped alleviate the problems is not accurate at all. And so we are not sure if the SDP will be renewed. And if it is going to be renewed, we have to make sure we have the right metrics in place to make sure that it is used in the way that it's meant to be used and with more accountability. In closing, I just wanted to let you know that on July 13th, we'll have our Environmental Day in Regent Park. So please come. We'll have activities and festivities. If you want any soil, we do have compost soil. If you want to get rid of any electronics or anything like that, we'll have city staff on hand to assist. So please come, and that's it for now.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us on all our social medias, and for more information, please visit our website.